Hey, everyone. So today we're going to be taking a look at this bill, and
Okay.
it's called the Treat and Reduce Obesity Act
Okay.
from 2021.
All right.
And it looks like it was first introduced on March 4th, 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of the interesting thing is that according to congress.gov, there has been zero movement
Yeah.
since then.
Interesting.
So I thought it'd be interesting to take a look and just kind of see, like, what we can glean from it.
Yeah, and it's interesting because this bill is tied to Senator Carper.
Right.
And Senator Carper, if you look at his background, he's got a very long history
Well,
with health legislation.
really? So, like, give me the rundown here.
Yeah, so he's either sponsored or co-sponsored 477 bills
Oh, whoa.
in just the health space.
Wow.
And that's not even counting all of the other areas
Right.
that he's also interested in.
Yep,
So
okay.
clearly this is someone who cares a lot about this particular policy area.
Who's got a lot of experience with healthcare, and he's been behind a lot of legislation in that area.
Exactly.
But this one seems to have stalled out.
Yeah, this one seems to have hit a wall, and that's what's so interesting.
Yeah, it's like he's got this is his whole thing, healthcare. And this
Yeah.
one just seems to be like dead in the water.
Yeah.
So what is it about this Treat and Reduce Obesity Act? Like, what is it actually about?
Yeah, so at its heart, it's really trying to address obesity by expanding access to different treatment options.
Okay.
So things like, obesity counseling, weight management services, and it wants to include those as essential health benefits.
Gotcha.
So basically making it easier for people to get support to manage their weight.
Okay, so it's less about just telling people to lose weight. It's
Yeah.
more about giving them tools to do it.
Exactly. And I think that's a key point here, because, treating obesity is complex, it's
Sure.
multifaceted, and this act kind of recognizes that and tries to say, okay, how do we actually build that into the healthcare system?
Right. So then why is it stalled out? It
Yeah.
seems like such a big problem that you think that there would be a lot of momentum to actually do something.
You would think so, right? I mean, it's a major health challenge, and that's where I think, the intricacies of how legislation gets done gets really interesting.
Right.
Because even with a bill like this, where, on the surface it seems like, okay, this is good thing to address, there's a lot that can cause these kinds of delays.
So, like, what are some of those hurdles? What are some of those things that might be tripping this bill up?
Well, one possibility is just budgetary concerns, right? Like expanding healthcare coverage, even for something like this, comes with a price tag.
Yeah.
And so lawmakers, they might be hesitant to allocate those funds, especially if they're also trying to balance, other budget priorities.
Right. So it's not just about is it important? It's also about, well, we only have so much money.
Exactly. It's competing priorities. And then you layer on top of that the political realities.
Right.
Healthcare legislation in particular, it can be politicized.
Sure.
And so you might have different parties with different perspectives on, okay, what's the BIPT approach to address obesity? And that can lead to disagreements, delays.
Yeah. Everyone agrees it's a problem, but no one agrees on how to fix it.
It's that in a nutshell. And then, of course, you just have the kind of inherent complexities of the legislative process itself.
Okay.
Bills get revised, they get amended, there's negotiations, and all of that takes time, sometimes a surprisingly long time.
So even for someone like Senator Carper, who's clearly, been around the block a few times when it comes to this stuff, it still gets stuck.
Even with that experience, yeah, the legislative process is rarely a straight shot from we introduce the bill to it's enacted, especially with something as complex as healthcare reform.
So it's not a sure thing, even with someone, pushing for it who knows the process.
Exactly. And, I think it just highlights how complex it is to try to tackle this problem of obesity through legislation.
Right.
There's no easy answer,
Right,
right?
yeah.
And even a bill with good intentions can still run into these roadblocks.
It really makes you think about all the different, things that have to happen behind the scenes just for anything to get done.
Absolutely. And that's why, staying informed and engaged is so important.
Right.
Because the fate of these bills, it's not just up to lawmakers.
Right.
It's also about the public's understanding and, people advocating for what they believe in.
So if someone's out there listening and they're like, man, this Treat and Reduce Obesity Act, that's something I really care about, what can they do?
Yeah. So, first off, stay informed about it, track the bill online, see what committees it's going through, see what's being said about it.
Okay.
And, if it's something you feel strongly about, reach out to your representatives and tell them.
Right, because they have to listen to us. Right? I mean, like,
That's the idea.
that's how this whole thing's supposed to work.
Exactly. Public engagement,
Yeah.
it can be a really powerful tool for shaping things.
Well, that's kind of a fascinating look at just how a bill becomes, or doesn't become law,
Yeah.
and the things that can trip it up along the way. Um, so, yeah, listeners, let us know what you think. What are your thoughts on this bill? Have you ever wondered what happens to a bill after it's introduced? Drop us a comment or send us a message. We would love to hear from you, and please like and subscribe. It will help our channel